Hey, what's going on, guys? Alex here, and in this video, this is going to be part 2 on how to overcome your call reluctance. What I'm going to talk about in this video are what I think are the top 3 excuses, at least the ones that I had. I'm going to do my best to eradicate those excuses for you. So let's get started. So the first excuse is thinking you don't have the money. And luckily with lease options, you don't need the money. What you need is a cell phone. What you need is internet, and what you need is the ability to communicate. That's it. Everything else is creativity. Everything else doesn't require your money. When you meet the seller and you get a contract signed, which would be the next step after booking an appointment, then you just need $10 to make it binding. That's it. Even if you're gonna stay in the middle, you can still make it contingent upon finding the buyer. All right, so there's no money required except to make it binding, the $10. And then once you find the buyer, because it's contingent upon finding a buyer, then you get paid. You don't have to come up with any money on the table. The buyer's coming up with them. So there's literally no money excuse why you can't make contacts, why you can't take action. All right, so there's that. Number 2, you might think you don't have the time. Well, how much time do you have in your day? Everyone has the same amount of time. Everyone has 24 hours. Can you find 30 minutes out of your day to perhaps make 3 to 5 seller contacts? I think so, right? I think so. I think you can find 30 minutes out of your day. I'm going to recommend that you get it done first thing in the morning, because in the morning is when you have the most willpower, you have the most energy, you have the most focus, and most successful people get their first thing, their most difficult task, their dragon, so to speak, first thing in the morning for that reason, because they understand that willpower evaporates later in the day. So you want to use up your willpower in the morning to take on your most difficult task. Good times to call between 9 and 11 a.m. I think are the best times. If you work from 9 to 5, let's say, then try to build in a window of maybe 8 to 8:30, even 7:30 to 8. Right? Those are still good times to make contacts. And if you're not able to make the number of contacts, let's say you want to make 3, and you might make 2, and make sure you leave voicemails on all your calls, because then they'll call you back, and then you can give them a call back at your convenience, and maybe it's going to be later in the evening. But have a prospecting window sometime in the morning. And the third excuse, which I think is probably going to be the biggest one, the biggest hurdle to overcome, is you don't think you have the ability, right? And some excuses that come up with that main excuse is I don't know what to say, I don't know what to do, what do I do next? I don't know where to go from here. Mainly, I don't know what to say. I think with the calls, it's going to be, you think you don't know what to say. Well, guess what? There's a lot of scripts out there that tell you exactly what to say. I've offered my scripts. I'm actually going to do another video on specifically the FSBO script, which is similar to the For Rent by Owner script. But this script's out there for you so that you know what to say. You just follow it. If you just practice it, if you just role play it, then you'll get better at knowing what to say. And if you record your calls and you listen to them back, then you'll hear the objections that are coming your way, right? The questions that the seller is asking you based off your communication and their responses. And once you know what those responses are, then you can practice how to handle those responses, those objection handlers. And you can also craft it to where you're asking a question at the end of those objection handlers, and that takes you on to the next step of the call, right? So you know what to say, right? So you have to eliminate that one as far as thinking you don't know what to say, because you have the scripts again. And I know I'm just repeating myself, but I want to hammer that one home, because I think that's a biggie. I think not thinking you don't know what to say is probably your biggest excuse. And again, knowing that you have a script, knowing that you're probably not going to be good at it in the beginning, right? Because like anything else, it takes practice. When you're first playing a piano, you're probably going to be very bad at trying to learn a new song. And eventually, after a month or 2, then you start to get it, and then you can play that song pretty easily. But when you first started out, you weren't that good at it, right? That goes for anything in life. So same thing with making calls. Even if you have a script and you still fumble through it while you're on the calls, you're gonna fumble through it. You're gonna be bad at it. But eventually you'll get better and better and better. And then again, yeah, that anxiety won't come up as often. I think another excuse within the not thinking you don't have the ability is I don't know what to do, right? So or even if I know what to say, what do I do next, right? And to that I'll say it's gonna reveal itself, right? Travel as far as you can see, and then you'll see further, right? So just like in the beginning you thought you didn't know what to say, well, that was a step that you're on. You finally learned what to say. You finally consistently making contacts. You're probably going on appointments, and then now the next thing for you is going to be how do I get contracts? How do I get the contract signed, right? And you'll know what to do, because at that point you'll start learning more about that particular challenge that you're on, and you'll overcome that too eventually, right? If you just stick with it. So you know what to say, you know what to do, you have the ability. Really, if you speak the language, if you speak English, then you have the ability. Seriously. So you have the money, you have the time, and you have the ability to make X amount of contacts and eventually achieve your end result of doing X amount of deals per month, right? Another tip I'm going to offer you is to learn more about your own mind, because the mind is what's the only thing in your way. It's the only thing that's going to stop you. It's going to be the thoughts that are coming to you that are going to try to talk you out of not completing that task of making the calls, right? We're talking about call reluctance here. And now, why is that happening? It's just the brain doing its job. And the more you learn about the brain and its function, which is to protect you, right? It's to protect you. It's to avoid danger and to seek short-term pleasure, right? That's its job. That's what it needed to do back in the past. And now, you know, we're at present times where we don't really need to. It's not really serving us as much, but it's still doing its job, because that's what it's been evolved to do. And knowing that your brain's going to try to talk you out of it with these excuses, oh, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I don't have the ability, I don't know what to say, I don't know what to do. It's going to come up with those thoughts to try to protect you, because what you're going to be doing is something that's unfamiliar, right? Whenever you do something that's unfamiliar, it's not comfortable. And what the brain wants to do is to stay in comfort, to avoid potential pain, right? So when you know that and you're conscious of that, you don't have to listen to your own mind. You can act in spite of whatever thoughts are coming your way, and that's called being conscious, right? Then eventually, when you override those thoughts, then it's going to create the new thoughts of, oh, I do know what to say, oh, I do have the ability, oh, I do have the money, or I do have the time to make these calls. And the more you practice that, then the different thoughts you're going to think and the different person you'll become. I hope that rant made sense. I kind of fumbled through it, but yeah. So again, those are the 3 beliefs. I hope those were helpful. I'm gonna keep posting more FSBO calls, and what else? I guess that's it. Thanks for watching. Look out for the next one.